Hey guys, it's Sami, and this is Wrestling Unlimited, as it's Friday, and that means tonight was Friday Night Smackdown. Now, as far as tonight's Smackdown does go, better than I expected for a 3-hour Smackdown. I will say that. By the time we got to the main event, I was like, oh, this show has been on for a while, but it didn't feel like one of these just super long, can we get it over with 3-hour shows that we had last year in 2025. But I will say that the main event kind of felt like it dragged a little bit and was okay, good, but I wouldn't call it great or anything. The Aleister Black, Damian Priest ambulance match was fun, I guess, but it wasn't all that great, if I'm going to be completely honest. Like, there were better things I felt on the show than the main event, especially Johnny Gargano versus Carmelo Hayes. And if anybody was watching on USA Network, you missed some great stuff during that commercial break. Like, that commercial break, I don't think it was, but could have been some of the best parts of the match, to be completely honest. Like, that match from start to finish was awesome. Carmelo Hayes, Johnny Gargano. Like, yeah, give me that match again. And they said that was the first time they've ever met. I'm thinking, is it really? They never met in NXT? That's the one thing that I was wondering. Did they ever meet in NXT? But I guess not. With all that, I want to say thank you for joining us here. Twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Remember, if you're watching live on Twitch, you can help us out a couple of different ways. You can either help us out by hitting that donate button down below or by donating Twitch bits in the live chat. Also, remember, you can help us out by subscribing to the channel one of two different ways. You can either subscribe with a tiered subscription, or you can subscribe with Amazon Prime. Because remember, if you have Amazon Prime, then you have Prime Gaming. Prime Gaming gives you a lot of cool things like free games, free stuff for games, and you always get one free subscription to any Twitch channel you want to subscribe to. And I greatly appreciate if you did right here for Wrestling Unlimited. Also, remember, help us out over on YouTube. Help us out over there by hitting that subscribe button. That way you know when we post new videos, when we go live, and when we post to the community tab. Also, remember, you can help us out by hitting the join button and becoming a channel member. As a channel member, you get a badge next to your name, emotes and emojis that you can use in the live chat, and access to all of our graphics packages. And finally, if you want to get your comment, question, or concern read live on the air, you can do so by donating a super chat in the live chat. Finally, head over to the Epic Game Store. Head over to the Epic Game Store, buy something. Whether you're buying a new game, whether you're buying an old game, whether you're claiming a free game or getting bucks for Rocket League, Fortnite, or Fall Guys, use this code right here, PWU Unlimited. That's PWUNLIMITED for all Epic Games and Epic Game Store purchases. Keith in the YouTube chat says, I decided not to watch the full 3-hour Smackdown. I just wanted to watch just 2 hours instead. So does that mean you didn't watch any? Or you only watched 2 hours of the 3? Because regardless, if you only watched 2 of the 3, you missed something. Whether that was in the first hour or the last hour or whatever. So you missed some stuff. Or are you saying you didn't watch it all because it was a 3-hour Smackdown? Speaking of this Smackdown, it was the first WWE show of 2026. How many times do I say 2025? That's going to be a thing. So the KeyBank Arena, that's where they were in Buffalo, New York. Michael Cole welcomes everybody to the first Smackdown of the year. Even here in my notes, I wrote first Smackdown of 2025. Cole then tossed to a recap of everything that happened last week involving Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre, which included the announcement of the 3 stages of hell, which will be announced later in the night. We got shots of Cody Rhodes, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, and the Kabuki Warriors all entering. Kabuki Warriors are going to team with Lash Legend and Nia Jax to take on Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, and Io Sky. They also show inside the arena where the ambulance was, setting up for the ambulance match with Damian Priest and Aleister Black in the main event. As Michael Cole and Corey Graves are talking, they were interrupted by, The Miz, who was angry that they weren't moving on to 2026 with him as the focal point. Miz started off by stating that he should have been the one to make John Cena tap out and face John Cena in his final match. He said that while Cena was out riding off into the sunset, he was stuck in Buffalo. He said his second grievance was young superstars who didn't heed his advice and that everybody didn't respect him enough. Third grievance, he was passed over for Timothy Chalamet for Marty Supreme. And I'm like, is that even true? I don't know. Fifth grievance is Mrs. Him. Miss said that he. Oh, no. I wrote that wrong. Miss said he, referring Joe Hendry, ruined the final SmackDown last week. And then Miss said that he would not bring the nickname Tiny Balls back, just like John Cena will not be coming back. Before Miss can continue, we hear the music of a returning Randy Orton. Voices play through the building. I hear voices in my head. They talk to me. They understand. They talk to me. Randy Orton comes out to a great ovation. He's wearing a Buffalo Sabres-inspired Randy Orton T-shirt, which was cool. Got a big ovation from the live crowd. As Orton got into the ring, he made Miz flinch a little bit because, Miz thought maybe he was gonna get an RKO. But instead, he went over and he posed on the turnbuckle. After a good while of posing for the crowd and the crowd chanting his name, Miz tried to hype himself up and Orton as the gatekeepers of the locker room and said maybe they should team together. Miz KO? Miz KO? And Orton's response to that was, well, an RKO out of nowhere to the Miz. The crowd chanted, and Orton did it one more time. And with a Happy New Year's, Miz, Orton obliged the crowd's request to, one more RKO. It was okay. It was a fun, entertaining way to open the show, first show of the year, whatever. So cool. Get the crowd popping and hot for, the return of Randy Orton and a fun little, whatever you want to call a segment here with Randy Orton and The Miz. It was nothing special. It was nothing to build to anything. It was just hey, let's get this crowd going. Let's get them going with Randy Orton. Lash Legend, say that fast. Lash Legend, la 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 la. Lash Legend and Nia Jax talked to the Kabuki Warriors ahead of their 8-woman tag team match and said, we're owed a tag title match. And if we win tonight, you really should owe us a tag title match. Asuka and Kairi Sane brushed them off. Kairi then, as Asuka walked off, Kairi did the, you're not ready for the Kabuki Warriors. And then she stood around. And then we heard, Kairi! And then she jumped. And it was funny the first handful of times. Now they're just milking it too long. The whole Asuka yelling for Kairi thing and her getting scared. After the break, Randy Orton met up with Cody Rhodes. Basically stated, I'm coming after that belt. When you're done with Drew, I want next. Nick Aldis then warned Cody, we haven't seen Drew here yet, but remember, can't touch him. Stipulation is you can't touch him. And yeah. Rhodes is like, well, let me know when he's here. We can get this handled. This then led to our first match of the night. Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Charlotte Flair, and Alexa Bliss taking on the Kabuki Warriors, Nia Jax, and Lash Legend. But before we get into that, we do have some bit donations over here from Esports Gaming Rules. He says Matt Cardona is here in WWE. Yeah, we're going to talk big about that because it's not just here in WWE. Like, he's not back like he was for the last time his Now tournament and this and that, whatnot. No. He's Matt Cardona in WWE. He's not just, back under his old gimmick or anything. And never mind. I got more to say on this that I'm predicting. Could be wrong. But we'll save it for when we talk about Cardona's return. He also says, nice to see Shinsuke Nakamura and Tama Tonga go face-to-face. Meeting and Julia getting her back because those three are NJPW and Stardom alum. And I don't know if WWE and NJPW Stardom are teasing. No. WWE is not teasing anything with Stardom or New Japan. Now, is there a slight chance? It may be too late for him to get there now, but is there a slight chance Nakamura is there tomorrow night for Tanahashi's retirement match? Maybe. Is he there for the little ceremony they're going to do afterwards? Maybe. But that would be a very last-minute flight, unless what they shot tonight was filmed previous. Like, was Nakamura actually in Buffalo? Because if he was, how long? Let me see something. How long is a flight from Buffalo to Tokyo? It's a 15-hour flight. Oh, no. Flight from Buffalo, New York to Tokyo, Japan typically takes around 16 hours, if not longer, as there are no direct flights. Requires at least one stop, with the shortest option being 15 to 17 hours. Interesting. So even if he were to leave, I mean, he can make it, but he ain't gonna, he can get there and have to just go straight to the building. Because there have been talks on, who's going to be there to pay their respects to Tanahashi when they do the ceremony after the match. And, excuse me. And we know Kenny Omega is going to be there. We know Will Ospreay is going to be there, and others. Maybe Naito. I haven't heard his name yet, but there have been talks that maybe Nakamura shows up. Be cool if like a Finn Balor was there, maybe an AJ Styles, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So as far as this 8-woman tag team matches go, wait, nope, we do have more bit donations. Sorry. It says, are they teasing something during Wrestle Kingdom? Like I said, no, they're not teasing anything. WWE is not working with New Japan. They're working with AEW, and I don't think New Japan is going to do anything to actually hurt their what's it called? AEW relationship. Now, if just Nakamura's there, that's fine. If he's shown on camera, I think that's okay. If they get a number of WWE guys, if like Nakamura and Finn and AJ and Tama Tonga and like a bunch of people show up that are former New Japan guys and they're on camera, maybe that's something that could upset Tony Khan. But if like 1 or 2 or 3, maybe not, especially because of what it is. He also says, I did see Netflix have classic WWE Vault content on their platform along with YouTube. Yes, so TKO president Mark Shapiro did state a few months ago that at the end of the year, content's leaving Peacock and it's going somewhere non-exclusive. So I think what that means is, yes, all this previous pay-per-view content, PLE content, whatever you want to call it, has been added to Netflix. All the Survivor Series, all the SummerSlams, all the Rumbles, all the Manias, and more. But I think because it's quote-unquote non-exclusive, that's why they could still have them all up on YouTube as well. I don't know what's all going to go up on the YouTube channel, but yeah. And I don't know if they're going to add any WCW content, any ECW content, Mid-South, Crockett. I don't know about any of that going to Netflix. He also says Julia got her belt back. I know what you meant, but thank you for the bit donation. He said, Coach thinks, don't get me started with Coach. Coach thinks the Saudis are going to buy WWE. Maybe April Fools came early for the WWE universe. If the Saudis were going to buy WWE, they would have bought it before they merged it with Endeavor and UFC to start TKO. It would have happened then. It's not happening now. Because if the Saudis were to buy WWE now, I don't think Endeavor would just let only WWE go. They would sell all of TKO, and I don't think the Saudis want the UFC and PBR and everything that's under. There's more too, under TKO. It's, what's all under TKO? TKO Group Holdings. It is, because I know it's more than just WWE. Like the main is WWE and UFC, but they also own PBR, and PBR is placed under that. Our businesses, let's see. On location. So the on location, premium event hospitality company, that's under TKO. And then also the IMG Sports Marketing Agency is also under TKO. So I don't think they pull WWE out and just keep TKO with UFC and the other smaller companies, because that's going to tremendously hurt the stock. If WWE is no longer part of TKO, that stock is going to go. So, no. I don't think the Saudis buy TKO, and I don't take anything that Coach says with a grain of salt. Whatever Jonathan Coachman says, I go, okay, guy, yeah, whatever. I don't even listen to anything Coach says. The only time that I know what Coach says is when other people tell me or send it to me or super chat it or bit donation it. So, yeah. Don't listen to the Coach. Anyways, the bell rings for this 8-woman tag with the heel women attacking the foes as Rhea Ripley was left to face Asuka to start the match. Asuka stomped away on Ripley, but had her last kick blocked. Asuka got sent to the outside by Ripley, as did Zayn. Attacked Alexa Bliss, who barreled into the Kabuki Warriors with a dive from the apron as we went to a commercial break. Once returned from the break, Jackson Legend were double-teaming Bliss to no avail. Excuse me. A Legend got thrown out of the ring as Bliss was flattened by Jax she flattened to Jax with a tornado DDT. Bliss then got the tag to Flair, who hit both Legend and Jax with a crossbody. At one point on the apron, Flair hit Legend with a big boot, but failed to connect with a slingshot spear as Jax blocked the maneuver. Asuka got the tag, but immediately got stacked up for a pin by Flair, who applied a figure 8 submission. However, Zayn got to the top rope and broke it all up with an insane elbow. Zayn got thrown out of the ring by Bliss, while Sky was tagged into the match and unleashed a wrath of a fury on the Kabuki Warriors. There's a double missile dropkick on both Asuka and Zayn by Sky as Ripley was pulled down from the apron as she was trying to get tagged in. In the ring, Io Sky was taken out with a powerful boot from Legend, but that wasn't enough to put this one away. No, not at all. Going down towards the finish of the match continued after a commercial break as Sky created some needed separation for her and Zayn, from her and Zayn, but Asuka knocked Bliss off the apron. Sky dumped Asuka as Ripley entered the match for the hot tag. Ripley was on fire, and she used an unorthodox offense by using Zayn as a weapon to knock Asuka down. Things then kind of broke down for a little bit when Jax attacked Ripley, and we got all the women in the ring taking on one another. Zayn was then caught by Ripley after a failing high-risk maneuver, and then all of a sudden, she got hit. Zayn got hit with a riptide. Io went to the top, hit the over the moonsault, and pinned Kairi Sane to pick up the victory. 1, 2, 3. Now here is the thing. With Io Sky getting the win, not like pinning Lash Legend or pinning Nia Jax. With Io Sky pinning Kairi Sane, I think that is telling for Monday. We have that tag title match on Monday, and I think the Kabuki Warriors are retaining. Because the Kabuki Warriors took the pin tonight, and it wasn't like, oh, they wanted Io and Rhea to look big, so they pin Lash and or Nia, to keep the Kabuki Warriors still strong. No, they pinned Kairi, which makes me think Asuka's like pinning Rhea or Io or something. I don't think Kairi gets the pin on Monday, but I think Asuka wins that match. They retain the titles, and they go on from there. So I think the loss tonight and the win by Io is telling for Monday. I could be completely wrong, and they put the titles on Io and Rhea, which would be great. But I see it as like a tell, I guess you would say. Moving forward, Nick Aldis was talking to Jordan Grace, who has been called up to the main roster. Now, Jordan Grace, apparently, since she signed with WWE, was always planning to go to the main roster quickly, and it took like a year. And so Aldis is like, hey, you got a choice to make. I would really love you to be here on Smackdown. Let's talk. Let's see what we could do to bring you here to the Blue brand. And they were interrupted by Chelsea Green, who was like, what are we doing here tonight, Nicholas? Why am I defending my title against Julia? I'm not doing it. And Aldis is like, oh, refuse to defend the title? Well, then I must have to impeach you, strip you of the belt, call you unfit to defend. You're no longer the champion. And she's like, wait, what? Strip me of the title? What? No, and then she like storms off. So yeah, she's going to defend that title later tonight, which, oh boy. So Kit Wilson comes out, and they're like, this is a brand new Kit Wilson. He's a changed man, right? And it says Kit Wilson versus ... No photo unknown, vacant. And I'm like, oh, we get another NXT call up here? And so Kit Wilson introduces himself as a redefining of masculinity. He took a shot at the Buffalo Bills and the Bills Mafia and called their fan base toxic. He's like, they're what you call toxic fans here in America. And then all of a sudden we hear, woo, 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 you know it. And I'm like, fucking Zack Ryder? Fucking Zack Ryder is back. And then all of a sudden the graphics on the screen change and it says Matt Cardona, and he's got new music. And I'm like, oh my goodness. He walks out onto the stage and it says in the lower third, Matt Cardona, not Zack Ryder, even though, and they played it up that he was just a couple of weeks ago. But no, Matt Cardona is here. He comes down the aisleway. He stops before getting in the ring and just looks around, gets in the ring. And Michael Cole says, I'm just being alerted, being told, Matt Cardona is the newest official member of the SmackDown roster. So they did confirm that Matt Cardona, has officially signed with WWE. He's back with the company. This is an interesting one that they had him come in for the Last Time Is Now tournament, but as Zack Ryder. Now then, did they know they were signing him? Was he already signed? Or was that the impotence of, oh, wow, he got over so big. Yeah, we need to bring him back. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out over the weekend, maybe Monday, maybe next week, maybe in a while. I don't know. But that's the big question is, when was this all in play? Was it before coming back for the tournament? Or was that like the jumping off point where it was like, oh, this worked. Yeah, let's bring him back full time. That's the big question. And the other thing is like, okay, Monday, could we see Dolph Ziggler back? Would he be Dolph Ziggler? Would he be Nick Nemeth? Could they be bringing him back too? If bringing Cardona back in the Last Time Is Now tournament was like the tease of, hey, this guy signed, he's back. Could that be the same thing with Dolph? Could that be the same thing with, Nick Nemeth returning to WWE? I don't know, but hey, anything's possible because I was just thoroughly grateful that this didn't leak. Like, not knowing Matt Cardona was coming out was such a relief because when it happened, I was like, wait, what? No freaking way. So, yeah, awesome. And nothing really to the match. I mean, the match was just there. Cardona stunned Wilson and blasted him with the broski boot. Say that 5 times fast. At one point, hit him with a couple flapjacks and drop kicks. Wilson did get a little bit of offense in, but not much. Cardona countered a face plant into a drop kick. Wilson then sent Cardona face first into the turnbuckle and connected with a tourniquet, as they called it. But Cardona kicked out at 2. Cardona then hit him with a Rough Rider, and Corey Graves said, are we allowed to call it that? Is it still called the Rough Rider, Cole? So, yeah. Corey Graves is also like, are we sure this is Matt Cardona? Wasn't he here just a couple of weeks ago as Zack Ryder? And like they tried to play that off as a joke and stuff. But yeah, Matt Cardona is back in WWE. Love to see it. Esports Gaming Rules with a couple more bit donations. It says, Coach thinks it may have to do with WrestleMania Riyadh, and The Rock could be talking to Saudis for a, quote, final match there. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. Haven't heard anything about that. If Coach said it, I don't believe it. I honestly don't believe anything Coach says because Coach has been wrong about a lot of things. And he says, is Def Rebel gone from WWE? I don't know. Because as you guys know, I don't follow the music stuff, like the theme music stuff, so, Damian Priest was interviewed backstage about the ambulance match coming up, and he's just like, it's been 6 months of hell with Black, and I'm going to beat him tonight. There was a Wyatt 6 promo about Solo Sikoa, the meaning of family. And yeah, we're getting 4-on-4 next week. Wyatt's versus MFTs. Then there's an interesting segment here with Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn comes down to the ring, and he's talking about, John Cena. He's talking about being a former champion and being there at John Cena's final match, but being there in the crowd with his son watching him from ringside. And his son asked him, why do they call him the Never Seen 17? He goes, because John Cena is a 17-time world champion. And his son asked him, well, how many times have you been world champion? And he said he had to tell his son, well, never. And his son didn't really understand. And he's seen his dad with multiple different belts. He's played with and taken pictures with multiple different belts, the U.S. title, the IC title, the tag titles, and so forth. But his dad doesn't have that one title, a world championship to put on his mantle, I guess you would say. And he said, last year I kept talking about wanting to go after the world title, talking about wanting to be a world champion. But this year I'm doing it. This year I will become a world champion. And I thought he was going to declare for the Rumble here, but he didn't. I thought he was about to say, and I'm the first man to declare for the 2026 Royal Rumble. And I'm going to go to WrestleMania. But then he didn't say any of that. He's just like, I'm going to win a title. Win the world title this year. I'm like, okay, guy. How? What's your plan? But he was cut off by, Trick Williams, who's, it seems, he's now on SmackDown. So I think he goes to SmackDown, Javon stays Raw, and then they put Oba wherever they're going to put Oba. So Trick Williams comes down, and I don't know how long this is going to work. He got a good pop. They did the whoop that trick for the entrance and everything. The crowd knows. But the promos, it was fun in NXT, but now he's just sounding like Sugar Bear and Starsky and Hutch. I think that's the right character. Hold on. Is it Sugar Bear? Who Snoop Dogg played? Huggy Bear. That's the character. Huggy Bear. I think that's it. Yeah. He sounds like Huggy Bear from Starsky and Hutch. Just the way he speaks and stuff. Like he's a 70s pimp, kind of. And so Williams said that he's, quote, the sexiest and most entertaining superstar. And he's finally arrived here on SmackDown. He said that he was here for one reason. Nick Aldis called 1-800-WHOOP-DAT. And SmackDown needs someone of my caliber. And I'm like, why are you talking like this? Talk like a normal person, guy. Williams said that Aldis needed someone to be on SmackDown who looks and acts and is a world champion. He will be a world champion for Sami Zayn. Trick said that he wasn't like Sami. He doesn't say he's going to do things. He does things. Zayn said that he has been watching Williams and that Aldis might have been right on the assessment of needing him about what Trick is. But he told Williams that he hadn't been humbled yet, and maybe somebody needs to humble him. Zayn declared that if Williams had no problem about interrupting him, Zayn said that he'd have no problem with teaching him a lesson and humbling him. And I'm like, okay, Trick and Sami next week. And then they literally set up Trick and frickin' Ray Phoenix for next week. Trick gonna beat Ray Phoenix. Oh, boy. So, yeah, this was fine. This was good. It established that Trick Williams is on SmackDown. And then we saw that coming with how much Javon's being used on Raw. Because it's like they're not going to bring them both to the same brand. They're going to spread them around. And now it's like, okay, with Jordan coming up, whether she's Raw or SmackDown, we've heard SmackDown for a while. What other female comes up from NXT? That's the question. To even things out. If SmackDown gets Jordan Grace, who does Raw get? So Carmelo Hayes was backstage when Ilya Dragunov approached him. Former U.S. champion said that he wanted to fight the best, and Hayes was the best and beat him. Dragunov said that he believed that it wouldn't be the last time they face off, though. Dragunov said that asked Hayes if you can keep doing the U.S. title open challenge, to which Hayes gladly said he would continue and said, we'll do it once tonight, me and Johnny Gargano. So Ray Phoenix was just chatting with Nick Aldis when Trick Williams walked up. He's like, hey, you see what that Sami Zayn said to me? I want to blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, he's kind of true. You've never been taught a lesson. You need to be taught a lesson there, Trick. And Ray Phoenix is like, oh, this guy needs to be taught a lesson? I'll step up and fight him. He goes, hey, grown folk talking. And he used to do that a lot in NXT too, and it got old. So I hope he doesn't use that line often. Grown folk talking. So, yeah. He set up Trick and Ray Phoenix for next week. Then we got an absolute banger. If you didn't see it or missed any of this match, go back and watch it. This is one of those I recommend you go back and watch. Carmelo Hayes versus Johnny Gargano. This match ruled. Hayes went on the attack early right away as he avoided a cheap shot from Gargano and threw him out before the match could even get underway. Once the bell finally rang, Hayes met Gargano with a dropkick as he continued the attack in the corner. Hayes hit a nice leg drop on a downed Gargano and didn't seem like he was going to lose momentum until a rolling kick stopped his momentum. Gargano's advantage was fleeting as Hayes knocked him out with a knee to the face. On the outside, Gargano used Candice LeRae as a shield to stop a dive through the ropes from Carmelo. The U.S. champion then took a slingshot spear, a dive to the outside by Gargano on Hayes, then sent us to a break. The match continued from the break with Gargano maintaining his aggressiveness on Hayes, but a blocked boot allowed Hayes to hit his springboard lariat with authority. Hayes then followed that up with a version of a La Mystica. In the corner, Hayes hit Gargano with a kick to the back of the head as he hit a fadeaway leg drop on a prone Gargano. On the top rope, Hayes connected with a frog splash, but Gargano did kick out. Hayes then knocked Gargano down with a clothesline as he headed up top. Gargano intercepted him and struck hard, which left Hayes stunned. At the top on the ropes, Hayes avoided an avalanche air raid crash and attempted a superplex. However, Gargano reversed it into a final cut suplex as the action went to a replay and they tossed it to a break. You can't speak. When we return, Hayes blocked Gargano's springboard attempt from the apron with a cutter using the top rope, followed by a DDT on the apron itself. In the ring, Gargano countered a facebuster attempt into a tornado DDT as Hayes just managed to kick out at 2. Hayes stopped Gargano's slingshot spear with a boot. Candice LeRae then jumped up on the apron to cause a distraction, which did, and Gargano finally hit the Avalanche Air Raid crash, but only got a 2 off of it. Gargano and Hayes then got into a little pinning exchange before the former connected with the first 48, followed by a nothing but net, and pinned Johnny Gargano to retain the United States Championship. And like I said, a hell of a match. These two worked great together. If you didn't see it or missed some of it, go back and watch it. Highly recommend. I think Hayes and Dragunov may have been just a smidge better, but this was right there. Like if Hayes and Dragunov was a 4.5, this was a 4. GTA for Life says, I wish Tim stopped tearing down matches just like tonight main event. Will you come and watch my review for my opinion? That's why you come here. And if I didn't, and I'm not saying I didn't like the main event, but if I feel like a match was lesser, I guess you would say, I'm going to tell you that. If I felt like it could have been better or that I wasn't fully invested in it and could have, I had higher expectations, I'm going to tell you that. That's what you're here for, to hear my opinion. If you don't like my opinion or want to hear my opinion, you don't have to listen. Tama Tonga was in the back watching the U.S. title match. He was approached by Shinsuke Nakamura. The two, former New Japan stars said something to each other in Japanese. Apologize for that one. In Japanese, Shinsuke said something. Tama said something. Shinsuke smirked and walked off. All of a sudden, Solo put his hand on Tama's shoulder and said, "We all good?" He's like, "Oh, yeah, we're good." He's like, "Well, next week, 4-on-4. The Wyatt's family versus our family. We'll settle this once and for all, and then we'll go after the tag titles. Talk to Aldis. It's cold. Let's go." And so that's all they were there for, is to get a match made. But this is so weird. They're still teasing Tama Tonga wants the U.S. title, but they're not pulling the trigger on it. Honestly, if you guys know the New Japan Tama Tonga, you know this man is freaking amazing, and WWE is holding him back. I'm saying it right now. WWE is holding Tama Tonga back. I always felt like, and I've said it before, Tama Tonga was like the Randy Orton of New Japan. He had everything. In the ring, on the mic, cut the promo, can have the great matches, knows how to do the little things, and makes it look effortless. And I'm not just saying that because they both used a cutter. Jade Cargill's being interviewed in the back, and they actually asked her about injuring Michin at a live event where she admitted she did it on purpose. Jordynne Grace then walked up and was like, I got to make a decision. Sign with Raw or sign with SmackDown, and I just want to see all my options and what I could be fighting for. And Jade's like, oh, little girl, you may want to go over to Raw because you can't handle me. And she goes, okay. You're that. You're what they say you are, basically. Grace turned Cargill's words against her, saying, I'm Jordynne Grace, but you're definitely, quote, one of those. So in the back, Cody Rhodes found Sami Zayn, said, hey, you seen Drew yet? And he said, no. He goes, I also heard what you said. You got ambitions. Everybody's got ambitions right now. Before the conversation could linger any further, Nick Aldis appeared. And Cody's like, where's Drew? He's like, oh, we haven't seen him yet. He goes, you know what? I'm going to the ring. They're going to just handle this. So it's like, if nobody's seen Drew and they don't even know if Drew is at the building yet, which 1 o'clock call time. Come on, guy. Then what's Cody going to do? Go stand out there forever and wait for Drew to show up? What if Drew doesn't show up? What if Drew doesn't show up for another 45 minutes? Is Cody going to take over the show and stand out there in the middle of the ring for 45 minutes? That's a weird thing. There's another Obafemi teaser hinting that he's coming to the main roster, but we don't know where. Raw? SmackDown? Which one? I think... Trying to think of where I would like to see Obafemi. I think maybe SmackDown, if I'm going to be completely honest. Esports Gaming Rules with a bit donation says, did you see Cody Rhodes post on X Twitter with his dad and brother after Drew burned his picture of his dad tonight during and after Raw or Smackdown? No, I didn't see that. Let's go look real fast. Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes. Oh, that's nothing. Esports Gaming Rules. It's just a picture of Goldust, Dusty, and Cody. So Cody goes down to the ring. He enters the ring and immediately took off his suit and grabbed a microphone. He was ready to go. Rhodes rhetorically asked how one obtains the richest prize in sports and entertainment, and that it was his mentality when approaching anyone in WWE in the ring that led him to be a champion. The mentality being that he gets to the arena early and he leaves late. He sees everybody. He meets with everybody. He makes his presence known. Rhodes said that Drew McIntyre reeked of envy, but he was grateful for it, as he was just a mountain that he couldn't wait to climb. Rhodes said that while he was backstage, he was, quote, playing dumb and thought he saw Drew McIntyre as nothing more than lunch. But that's because he's the one who calls himself the champ, and it won't change next week in Berlin. Also, remember that. They're going to be in Berlin. The show's going to be airing early on at Netflix. I don't know the time yet, but because they're in Berlin and Netflix airs all SmackDowns live no matter where they are, if you got that VPN set up, watch on Netflix next week, because we're doing a live, or not a live review. I'll be at work. But we're doing an early review. I ain't waiting until fucking 10 o'clock at night. No. Next Friday, I should be off work by 2 Central. Maybe by like 3 or 4, we're live talking SmackDown. Because I'm going to try and watch it work. That's the thing. I'm trying to watch as much as I can while I'm working. And then anything I miss or don't finish, I'll watch as soon as I get home. If not earlier, because maybe it's early. I don't know. We'll see. We'll figure it out. But way earlier SmackDown review next week. McIntyre does interrupt on the Titantron and said that Rhodes was vanilla. Vanilla as it gets. And says that he thought hard to determine what 3 stages they should go through. McIntyre said the first stage, well, straight up wrestling match. Just so I could show that I'm better than you as a pro wrestler. Second, you can pin me anywhere you want, make me tap out wherever, falls count anywhere. And finally, the third one, and he said it like this for a reason, I think. Old school cage match. Old school, no escaping, no getting out of the cage. You gotta beat me. Promised to break Rhodes physically next week, but he wanted to get ahead of things as he talked about how he ransacked Rhodes' bus. McIntyre said that he got one item that he knows means so much to Cody, and that being a photo of he and his father, Dusty. McIntyre mocked Rhodes and said that it would get real chilly down in hell as McIntyre stomped on the photo. Rhodes angrily ran to the back and was stopped by security as McIntyre soon appeared in the ring as Cody's in the back yelling, "Where is he? Where is he?" And all of a sudden the crowd starts to stir and rumble because, well, Drew's out there. We then hear Drew say, "Happy New Year's, Cody," as he took a lighter to the picture and set it on fire. Very interesting. Very interesting segment here. I liked this. I thought it was effective. I thought it got the point across on Drew is just a fucking psycho. And they should really start calling him the Scottish psychopath. Like, yeah. So they announced a couple matches for next week. 3 stages of hell with the WWE Championship on the line. We just talked about that. We know that Rey Fenix will take on Trick Williams and the Wyatt Six versus the MFTs. Then we had, well, a not so great women's U.S. title match. It was Chelsea Green and Julia. The match was fine at best. It was okay, but it's like, really? Switch the belts back already? What was the even point of putting the belt on Chelsea? Just so they can do the gimmick of double champion for Ethan Page? Oh, Lord. Does this mean Ethan's losing his belt soon, too? I don't know. I don't know. But the challenger was aggressive early on. Julia, that is. Julia grabbed Green by the hair and threw her across the ring. Another big boot by Julia sent Green to the outside as Fire checked on her on the floor. At ringside, Julia maintained the ruthless attack on Green, but Fire created a little bit of a distraction, which allowed Green to get ahead of things with a dive from inside the ring. With Julia down, we go to a break. We return from said break as Julia had Green in a sleeper hold, but the Women's U.S. champ managed to escape that. The two then began trading strikes in the middle of the ring as Green got the best of it and set up for a clothesline, followed by a kick. With Julia stunned across the middle rope, Green connected with some double knees to the back of the head. Towards the end of the match here, in the middle of the ring, Green attempted an unpretty her, but couldn't capitalize. Green hit a Rough Rider, but Kiana James got up on the apron and distracted the referee. Alba Fire then pulled James off the apron, and then back with the match. Julia intercepted Green off the top rope and hit her with the avalanche underhook DDT, rolled her through with a Northern Lights bomb, and pinned her 1-2-3 to become a two-time Women's United States champion. Julia is once again the champion. And I just sat here, scratching my head, stunned. Like, they really switched the belts already? Just right back to Julia, who did absolutely nothing as the champion, who had a boring title reign. Nothing on her. Like, it's how she was booked as the champion. So it's like, The thing is, maybe you could say a little on her. Because even with Chelsea being booked just all right as champion, she made the most of it. Chelsea Green is somebody that can make the most out of any situation and make any bad booking at least all right, because she's so entertaining and knows how to make the most out of little. Rio and Io were being interviewed in the back about their win and the upcoming title match on Monday when Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss came up. And Rhea goes, "What are you going to say? You want next?" And Alexa's like, No. We're not here for any of that. We're here to just wish you guys luck and hope you win on Monday and see what comes of that. And Charlotte goes, "Yeah, and then we want next." And I'm just like, and Alexa looks at Charlotte and goes, "We're going to say that." So, yeah. Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae were in the back. Oh, Alexa, stop. I hate when I say Bliss's first name and then my echo goes off. Anyways. Alexa, stop. So annoying. Stop. Got to unplug the bitch. Anyways. Johnny. It did it again. Alexa. Cancel. I'm gonna do it one more time, and I'm just gonna leave. I'm just gonna leave it be. Anyways, Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae were in the back licking their wounds from the loss to Carmelo Hayes. When Fraxium came up, they still had Axiom's mask, and Axiom's like, "Give me my mask back," and Johnny's like, "No, take it from me. Wait, no, how about you take it from my wife?" And they're like, "You know what? Screw this. We're going to go nick all this." And Axiom's like, "I'm going to get a match with you. When I beat you, I'm taking my mask back." And I'm like, this is all just kind of weird. All just kind of weird. But then we go to our main event, the ambulance match. Aleister Black, Damian Priest. And as a feud ender, it was all right. Honestly, this match was just all right. Like, it felt like it was planned out, spot to spot to spot, move to move to move, and they were just going through it. It was like better than a overproduced NXT match where they practiced it forever, because I doubt these guys practice this over and over. But it was kind of like on that level where it was like super overproduced. You can kind of almost telegraph what spot's coming next and what's going to happen here. And, oh, Aleister's about to close the door, but nope, Priest kicks it back open. He tries to close it. Oh, Priest kicks it back. Like, it was a very predictable, almost spot for spot kind of match. That's my one big takeaway. Black attacked Priest from behind before he could even take off his robe, which also, and there's not a shot at Damian Priest. He did state recently that he's got some sort of an injury that's hindering him from training as much as he usually does. And we could see he's putting on a little weight. Like, you could really see it in his face. I'm not saying he's getting fat or anything, but you can see he's put on a little weight. And I wonder if that's due to the lack of training that he's able to do right now. Because he said recently, WWE has him limited because he's dealing with a nagging injury. Not anything that's keeping him from competing, but it's keeping him limited. So I wonder what that could be and what that means. Because if you look at Alistair or Damian Priest, like I said, he's not Punishment Martinez big anymore. Like, he's not anything like that. But you could see his face is a little bloated. And maybe a little in his midsection. But nothing like egregious or anything. But like I said, Priest eventually battled back and threw Black out of the ring as the action spilled to the floor. Remember, they can fight anywhere because they got to get up to that ambulance. Black then responded with a boot to the face as the battle made its way to the stage area where the ambulance was. The doors were open while Black tried to put Priest inside of it. Priest pulled out a stretcher from the ambulance and pushed it onto the ribs of Black as it followed by a throw onto the base of the stretcher. They did picture-in-picture break here. When we came back to the full view of the show, the action was back inside the ring as Black and Priest traded kicks to one another. During the break, we saw footage of Black sending Priest through a table with a Meteora. Back to live action as Priest nailed Black with a lariat. Black was stunned in the corner. Priest barreled into him with a splash on the outside. Priest sent Black over the commentary table with a running pounce, while Zelina kind of looked on in concern. Black then shoved Priest into the ring post as he grabbed a chair and hit his opponent with it right across the spine. Back inside the ring, Priest then kicked Black as he was sat on the top rope and hit a massive Hurricane Rana off the top. Black responded with a spinning kick as both men were down for the count as we head to another picture-in-picture break. As the main event returned, Priest and Black were brawling out on the stage. Black got the best of Priest with a throw to the LED screen as Black told Zelina to open the ambulance. And when she did, whoop, there was Mummy. Rhea Ripley was waiting in the ambulance. Zelina was then chased down to the ring. Rhea jumped in the ring, grabbed her, and hit her with a big old riptide to kind of just get her out of here, write her off from the match. Black then battered Priest with some stomps, tried to drag him into the ambulance, but to no avail. After a struggle, Black managed to put Priest in the ambulance, but he couldn't get the doors closed. There's a spot I was talking about earlier where it's like, I can see it coming because he closes the one door, no problem. He then starts looking around. I got this. I'm going to beat him right now. And he grabs the door and he swings it and it goes to the club. Oh, I can't get it. He's swinging. I can't get it. He gets kicked up. Saw it coming. So with a crutch in hand, Priest struck it across the back of Black as he then shoved the handle portion right into his chest. Priest was then pushed into the ambulance door with Black following that up with a knee to the face. Priest then managed to prevent further calamity by, shooting off a fire extinguisher in the face of Aleister Black. This was then followed up by Priest throwing a fireball in Black's face. Priest then went to the back, or first he closed the ambulance doors. He's like, I'm not playing with this ambulance right now. Closed the ambulance doors, goes to the back, and he grabs an equipment table with some stuff on it from the side of the stage or wherever. I don't know exactly. But he brought it out. And he looked like he was going to give a razor's edge through it to Black, but Black escaped that fate and hit Priest with another knee to the face. Black attempted to throw Priest onto the side of the ambulance, but found himself thrown there instead. Priest was stunned by a knee from Black. An equipment case was pulled by Black to get in the way of them, but Priest countered that, hoisted him up for a razor's edge, kicked the equipment box away, and basically gave him the razor's edge into the ambulance's windshield. Priest then took Black's lifeless body, put himself on top of the ambulance with both men on the top. Priest then held Black and threw him off the top of the ambulance through that equipment table that we saw set up earlier. The ambulance doors were then opened up with Black unable to fight back. Priest dragged him into the ambulance, closed one door, closed the other door, shut him on him, and won the match. He celebrates for a good minute and a half, 2 minutes or so, and the show goes off the air. So that, ladies and gentlemen, was Friday Night Smackdown. We're back to 3 hours, and it was a pretty good show, I will say. It didn't feel like one of those just super long, is this ever going to end to 3 hour shows? I expected more out of the main event. It was a fun main event, but it was all right. It's not like I can recommend it. It's not like I would say, hey, go back and watch it. I could. I would. I did. I multiple times did for Johnny and Carmelo. Go back and watch that match. I might go watch it again. I liked it so much. But yeah, it was an all right episode. And for the foreseeable future, indefinitely, we're 3 hours again. Don't know how long. Maybe till June. Maybe longer. I don't know. But these 3 hour Smackdowns hopefully don't start feeling their length. With all of that, you know what I thought of the show. Now it's time to hear, as EO does, what you guys thought of tonight's Friday Night Smackdown as we go and check the polls. As far as the Threads poll does go, 86% liked the show, 7% thought it was just all right, and 7% didn't like it. Looking over at the Twitter X poll, 80% liked the show, 20% didn't. Looking at the community poll, 80% liked the show, 15% thought it was just all right, and 5% didn't like it. GTA, if you're really going to say that, I'm just going to ban you from the chat because now you're just being dumb. And finally, the live poll, 79% liked the show, 19% thought it was just all right, and 2% didn't like that. Overwhelmingly, it seems like most people thoroughly enjoyed this show. Like the lowest poll was a 79% liked. That's great to see. Really good to see. But with all of that, I want to say thank you for joining us here. Twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Now, as far as Wrestle Kingdom does go, that is tomorrow night, like overnight. And I think we're going to be covering it. I don't know if I'm going to do a review or if I'm going to do like a just long game stream watch along. Now, I know tomorrow, me and my son are going to be going to the Tulsa Shootout race. I don't know how late that's going to run till, but it should, I would assume, be over before Wrestle Kingdom. I don't know. We'll play it by ear, but we'll be doing some sort of Wrestle Kingdom coverage here on the channel. Again, like I said, whether that's a game stream watch along or if that's a podcast afterwards, Sunday morning, figure it out, and we'll let you guys know. So with that, guys, have a great rest of your Friday night. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one, guys.